Look, let me just say that it seems like shit's gonna be hot fire when the intro plays. That's when you know shit's about to get real. Don't you just love an episode that gets straight to the point? This week, after a week's hiatus, we finally get Daiji's redemption arc. And I've got a lot to say about this one. So this episode kind of plays up the A-plot from the previous episode kind of as a non-factor. Sure, we get cameo appearances from the Get Ricked by Emo Boy crew with some heavy breathing, a menage a brachio vice stamp, but we didn't get much out of these guys besides the hilarious scene from, well, last episode. Alright, let's talk about what we actually got here, which is terrible child acting, Daiji's comeback, new forms, amazing choreography, but most importantly, this scene between Sakura and Aguilera. Simping aside, this was a great scene. Also, fuck you, Twitter. I'm not looking at you after a certain point on Saturday nights. Look, if you know what I'm talking about. I do, however, like how they're building up Sakura for the inevitable transformation into a rider. However, through what means? Will Aguilera have something to do with it? Or her friend that I kept glossing over until Sojang Ji rightly pointed out in the comments last review that he's Ushijima's, the ninja dad, his son. They really casted some forgettable looking people for these roles, so no wonder I never noticed. That's on me. Either way, it looks like Sakura's arc is fastly approaching, and I love how they're intertwining Aguilera with her character. More, please. So, on to the main event. The battle for Daiji's soul. Last episode ended with a cliffhanger that gets solved with the biggest bitch move ever by Kagero. And Iki falls for it. Literally. We then get a roundhouse kick to Revice's chest, which would make even Kamen Rider Kabuto almost proud. Or his grandma. We get another Vice ability reveal to go into the minds of others to see their inner self. This gets played off in a bit inside Hiromi. I didn't laugh. Oh my god. Deconstructing of a character the worst way. Later, he reveals that he previously did this to Kagero, revealing Daiji inside. This reinvigorates Iki to save his soul. It's at this point that I discovered I can disable subs for cleaner video editing. Yo, what the fuck? In an entrance that screams low-budget fies, Iki shows up with the Revice driver in a suitcase. And he also drops his bike like a bad habit. I mean, look at this shit. This was hilarious on the second viewing. We then get some pretty good rider action. Oh yeah, demons here too. Anyway, is the CG running dry because these fights were raw as fuck this time? Iki finally gets through to Daiji as he shatters to reclaim his body. Back at the helm, he shows off his shiny, good form, Kamen Rider Live, and proceeds to kick some ass. So let's talk the forms for this episode. I'll start with Revice. Iki snatches up the Brachio Vice Stamp this episode, giving us the genome of... Now this form looks regal, looking closer to Oma Zio or Zio Trinity than base Zio. I like the look of it. He looks like he's about to dish out some royal ass whooping to whoever just gets nearby. Vice is the real standout in this form. The bulked up appearance really screams intimidation. Out of all of his previous transformations, this is the best Vice yet. Hashtag nice Vice. Luckily, there was nobody up this episode because I don't want to see these forms ruined with symmetrical docking, even though I know it's coming. Now let's talk live. You take evil, then you flip it, put a D in the middle, and we have the theme song. Is the theme song about Daiji? Anyway, in this form, like Revice's Brachio form, this is also very regal looking. Gone are the flat and black textures of evil. In are the very majestic white and gold. Suit kind of reminds me a little bit of Ixa, but that suit honestly looks better than this one. The turquoise on the belt and the green bodysuit accents, I don't hate it. It just needs to grow on me. But the suit feels very out of theme with Revice. It kind of like how Demons does as well, but it kind of works. Overall, I do like the look of this outfit. I actually like it more than Evil's design. So for the most part, yeah, it's a good design. I like it. This episode finishes off Daiji's arc. It's in a grand fashion, I would say. It didn't feel forced. The exposition leading up to Live's transformation was a good time. The character I wasn't originally feeling in the beginning suddenly skyrocketed to being one of my favorites. I would say he even currently surpasses Iki. And with Sakura's arc incoming, the biggest question is Iki starting to become a background character in his own show? We are learning more about his family rather than himself. I mean, this could be a good thing, but is this also an intentional lead up into some big twist in the future? Like how he got Vice to begin with. This episode gets a scoring. The best yet. We get a massive payoff for Daiji. Sakura's story is beginning to bear fruit. There wasn't a huge CG fest, and the fight choreography and the cinematography that goes along with it was amazing. Not to mention the amount of rider kicks in this episode. The amount of rider kicks that we haven't had before versus now makes up for it. We got a whole whopping amount of rider kicks. This episode also had that moment. You know, when the theme song hits, you know it's about to go down. Which kind of leads into what I was saying before. Maybe the song's about Daiji. Also, obviously, we got a lot more Aguilera this episode, and that's never a bad thing. So, you know what? Going forward in these reviews, instead of having an A for Agito, we're going to do an A for Aguilera. Yes. Yes, that looks good. Anyway, that's it for me. The week off was killer, especially on Toku Twitter, where people were at each other's throats over Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai. Like, why? Anyway, but the payoff was worth it, in my opinion. But what did you think about the episode? Was it worth the hype? How did you feel about Live? Also, Sakura's up next. Are you excited about that one? Until next week. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Fuck, I said I hated this.